Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I hope you all can hear me properly. Yes, I hope the screen is clearly visible. Yes, everyone. I hope everything is clear. Yes, the audio, video, everything is clear. I hope. You all can hear me properly. Yes. I hope the screen is clearly visible. Let me reduce the my device echo over here. Yes, now I hope everything is fine and clear. Yes, good morning, Nila, Calvin. Good morning, everyone. Yes, I hope you all can hear me properly because I cannot see any one of your chats over here. That's why asking you again and again. So this is one of the very important but a simple chapter of your class 12, the very first chapter, just a chapter which is like the living world of your class 11. As you all know, I hope you all are getting bored with the chapter living world because we have done the revision for the chapter so many times. So I hope most of you are clear with the concept of that particular chapter. So just like that particular living world in this chapter also, that is reproduction in organism, is also such a kind of a simple chapter in which you will get MCQs. You can't hear. Done the revision for the chapter so many times. Okay. So there may be some sounds from the temple because the festivals and everything is going on for the next 10 days. So I thought I could complete these two chapters today, but in the morning I have received an urgent call, so I have to be there. Okay, so let's get started with this amazing chapter. A simple chapter will not be a great extended one. A short session, just a one short session on the chapter NCRT extract of reproduction in organism. All the guys who are watching the session, don't forget to hit the like button, do share it with your friends, and subscribe our wonderful channel of BioPoint. Stream the world of bio. This is an amazing Telegram group at BioPoint New where we conduct regular discussion, polls, quizzes, and updates on our classes. I think yesterday's polls were really useful for you, and I hope you might have done that also. Okay. When I sat in the evening, I thought why I can't make some chemistry polls. So every time getting biology, so even I just felt bored with the subject itself. So I thought I could just change it. So I just created some chemistry polls on S block in hydrogen, and I have posted it in the group. And I know it was a huge number. Actually, I think it was 440 to 500, 60, 70 questions we have done yesterday itself. Right. So let's get started with this amazing chapter, an easy chapter. You all can catch it right here with me on the screen. I hope you all can see the writings on the screen clearly. Is it? Give me hearts on the screen if the writings are clear, if the slides are clear for you. Yes, it's clear. So let's get started with this reproduction in organisms. So in the year question, for the past year question, you received question either one or maximum two question, not more than that. And in certain years, there were no question also asked from this chapter. So anyway, we are not going to take any kind of risk in the upcoming examination. So we have to study this chapter also in a very detailed manner. So reproduction is actually a biological process in which an individual gives rise to an offspring similar to itself. Comment me on the chat box what is the essential need. Comment me on the chat box what is the essentiality of reproduction, or why do organisms reproduce. This is a chapter where I need your communication also, because if I just kept on speaking, it will really be a bore session. So I need your communication also. So make sure that you communicate with me through the answers on the chat box. Yes. What is actually the purpose of reproduction? From your lower classes itself, you have been studying this concept. So please don't make it too lag. Okay, so just tell me the answers, guys. What is actually the need of reproduction? Yes, no one is telling me the answer. Don't know the answer, anybody. Absolutely, continue of species. For the continuity of species, we need reproduction. So, reproduction can mainly be of two kinds, right? What are the two different kinds of reproduction? What are the two different ways of reproduction? Everybody chat on the chat box. Is it my network issue that I'm not receiving your chats, or you guys are not commenting me the answer? Can you all hear me properly? Tell me first of all, can you all hear me properly? Without hearing, if I just kept on speaking, nobody is gonna understand anything. So tell me whether you're understanding, whether you are getting out it. Am I audible? Sorry. Yes, where is Calvin? Where is Calvin? Not here. Four people are there. Calvin? Yes. So, one second, guys. Yes, sorry. So, we already have studied that reproduction in organism are of two types. That is, there are mainly two kinds of reproduction. That is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. What do you mean by asexual reproduction? We have to study in detail. And can you tell me some of the modes of asexual reproduction on the chat box? Some of the asexual reproduction on the chat box. Yes, guys, everyone. No one. What happened? I'm not receiving any messages. Is it the case with everyone? Is it the case with everyone? Can you all hear me properly? Yes. So, anyway, listen very carefully. So, binary fission, multiple fission, fragmentation, all these are examples of what? All these are examples of asexual reproduction in organism. So, so the type of reproduction we are dealing with, first we are going to deal with the modes of asexual reproduction. Okay, modes of asexual reproduction. Usually, asexual reproduction is followed by relatively simpler organisms, not organization. Yeah, simpler organizations. Those having a body organization which is small, that is lower organisms. Okay, actually, this kind of asexual mode of reproduction is shown by lower grade organisms. Okay, the offspring produced by a single parent, and the offspring is formed with or without the involvement of gamete formation. So, in certain cases, gamete may be formed, in certain cases, gamete may not be formed, and in all up to 99% gamete is not formed, but in rare cases, you can see. Okay. For example, asexual reproduction can be seen in amoeba, paramecium. All unicellular organisms are lower grade organisms, right? So in all lower grade organisms, you could see what? Asexual reproduction. And the most important point that we have to discuss over here is that the asexual reproduction offspring are known as clones. Okay, the formation or the products of asexual reproduction, you will call it as clones. And what is actually clones? Clones can be called as they are genetically and morphologically similar to their parent. So clones are those organisms which are genetically and morphologically similar to their parent. Okay, so let's see on the board. For example, in case of amoeba, so this is an amoeba. This is the parent amoeba. Okay, Calvin. Okay, sure. So this amoeba is breaking down. So first amoeba cell enlarges, right? Amoeba cell enlarges and this nucleus also is gonna split up to form two, right? So finally it leads to the formation of what? Two daughter cells. So actually, since I'm drawing it, it is of two different size, but actual case, both these will be called as clones because they will be genetically identical. They will be morphologically identical also with the offspring. Is it clear? Is it clear for everyone? Yes. So let's get started. The offspring produced are genetically and morphologically similar to each other and they are called clones. This term clones is repeated previous year MCQ question. Then, so we already studied what are the properties of asexual reproduction, mainly shown by single-celled organisms. Then, plants and animals with relatively lower grade organization shows asexual reproduction. Then, one of the very important point, I'll write it over here for you, very important, cell division. Where is a pen? Yes. Cell division itself is a mode of reproduction in certain organism. So cell division itself is a mode of reproduction in certain organisms like Protista, Monera, and all, etc. The cell division itself is a kind of reproduction also. For example, this is a bacterial cell, you suppose. Okay, this is a bacterial cell. So this bacterial cell will divide into two by binary fission. Okay, so this bacterial cell will divide into two. So it is actually a cell division, right? The cell is divided into two, but this itself you will call it as what? Bacterial replication or bacterial cell division. And what is that actually? It is actually a mode of reproduction only, right? Then, for example, when a bacteria enters our body, we also tell that the bacterial cell divides rapidly. So this rapid division of bacteria is known as actually what? The bacteria reproduces inside our body. Clear? Yes. Let's move on with the next half of the chapter. So, first type of asexual reproduction is the binary fission. So, that cell division of parent cell into two daughter cell is known as binary fission. For example, it is shown by amoeba, paramecium. Very important. Ames even asked MCQ. When you see this, it finds very easy. That is, you will know the concept that amoeba reproduces by binary fission, paramecium reproduces by binary fission, but make sure that you know it. It is a previous year AIMS AIPMT question. Several years repeated question. Next term is the budding. The parent cell divides to form large cell and small cell called bud. And this bud remains attached to the parent cell but gets separated when it gets matured and grow into an adult. For example, yeast, hydra. Yeast in hydra, you will show what? They will also show budding. Okay, they also show budding. So listen very carefully. I'll draw it for you 1 second. Okay, listen very carefully, everyone. So actually, this is an amoeba. Okay, this is an amoeba. The amoeba will undergo what? Binary fission. That is, the amoeba will splits up to form what? Two daughter cells. The amoeba would split up to form two daughter cells. Right, everyone? Then, when you are coming on to the next case, that is yeast. So, suppose this is the yeast cell. So, there are so many organelles. That is organ. We cannot say it has to be the cell membrane bound organelles. Simply organelles present. Okay. At all cases, not all the cell organelles present. Absolutely, organelles are present. So this particular cell will convert, like it will produces a small bud like structure like this, a small structure like this. So this particular parent yeast would convert into a large bud and a small bud. Okay, not a large bud, a large and a small structure. So the small structure, you will call it as the bud. So when it gets matured, that would detaches from the parent and finally that would grow into a separate yeast. So you are finding what? Budding in case of yeast and binary fission in case of amoeba. I hope it's clear. Yes. Okay. Let's come back to the slides. Oh my god. Yes. Very important, very important one. So please have a screenshot for this. This is a very important slide we are doing. Methods of asexual reproduction. What are the different methods of asexual reproduction? So we already studied what are the different properties of asexual reproduction. That is, only one parent is involved, no gamete formation, and all we have studied, right? So, asexual reproduction methods we are going to discuss. That is in case of single-celled organism. Let me reduce the size of the nib. Yes. In case of single-celled organism, binary fission, multiple fission, etc., plays an important role for asexual reproduction. For example, in case of amoeba, multiple fission in case of plasmodium. You can also write like budding in case of yeast. Okay, budding, fragmentation, all these things which you have studied in the lower grades are also examples of what? Asexual reproduction in single-celled organism. Fragmentation in Spirogyra, regeneration in planaria, all these things you can include. Since in our NCERT demands for binary fission, multiple fission, we study that over here. So in single-celled organisms, for example, binary fission in case of amoeba, multiple fission in case of plasmodium are the two types of asexual reproduction. In case of alga, fungi, and lower animals, in case of algae, fungi, and lower animals, okay, guys. Okay. So the last two things which I told you have to be done over here. Okay. Since I thought it would be higher animals. Okay. I haven't seen in lower animals over here. So, but Hydra, yeast and all comes under what? Fungi, right? Spirogyra. So all these things you can include it over here itself. Clear, everyone? So let's get started with that. Zoospore is seen in Chlamydomonas. Zoospore is seen in Chlamydomonas. Repeated MCQ question. Conidia seen in penicillin. MCQ. Bud is actually exogenous in Hydra and yeast. That is, they are produced. So this is actually if the organism, the bud is produced outside the body, right? So the bud is produced outside the body. So they are called exogenous. Then endogenous bud or gemmules in sponges. In your NCERT textbook, if you refer the diagram, if this is the structure of a bud, you will see that the gemmules are arranged like this inside the organism, right? Inside only the gemmules are arranged in case of sponges. So that if they are arranged inside, they are called endogenous. If they are arranged outside, they are called exogenous. In case of penicillin also, you will find what? Exogenous. Right, like this, only penicillin. In penicillium also, you will find exogenous bud formation. Okay, then last one is a fragmentation which is seen in lower grade organisms like Spirogyra. So why budding and fragmentation came over in the second table? Because they are specifically mentioned over here: fungi, alga and lower animals. Okay, so definitely you will be having these kinds of questions for your exams. So frequently repeated question is about the zoospores in Chlamydomonas, Conidia in penicillin, about the exogenous and the endogenous spore. Very important, one more MCQ: gemmule formation takes place in sponges. It can come as a part of animal kingdom chapter also. Under the phylum Porifera, it can come. Clear, everyone? So the last term of asexual reproduction we have to discuss is the vegetative propagation. So all the vegetative propagation methods are previous year MCQ question. So it is very important that you have to study that. Clear? So, runner is found in oxalis, rhizome in ginger, sucker, banana, offset, water, hyacinth, bulb, onion, leaf notch, bryophyllum, bulbil, agave. Okay, bryophyllum along with calancho also you can write. So, you might not be familiar, but I have shown you the images on one Menti quiz last time. Okay, so many, I think 1 or 2 months back when I taught this chapter in detail, I've shown you the image of Kalanjo also in a Menti quiz when such a question came. Okay, so runner oxalis, rhizome ginger, sucker banana, offset water hyacinth, bulb onion, leaf notch, bryophyllum, bulbil, agave. So these are some of the examples of vegetative propagation, and the structures by which you undergo vegetative propagation is known as vegetative propagules. Okay, the structures by which you undergo vegetative propagation is known as vegetative propagules. Is it clear? Give me hearts on the screen if it's clear for each one of you. Let's move on to the next one. So that's all about the asexual reproduction. It's all about the asexual reproduction. You will have a short quiz also after the session. Okay, so please give me thumbs up or chats. Thumbs up on the chat box, everyone. Quick, quick, quick. We don't have time. Yes. Anyway, let's move on with the chapter. Next part of the chapter. Okay, I think Calvin is not here because it's going showing two only. One is from mine, other is from Nila, I hope. Yes, Calvin, if you're here, please chat over. So the next is the sexual reproduction. Okay, sexual reproduction. So you all know what is sexual reproduction. It involves the formation of a male and a female gamete by two individuals of the opposite sex. That is actually male gamete is called sperms and female gamete is called egg or ovum. Clear? So sperms and ovum or egg. Offspring formed by the fusion of male and female gametes are not identical to each other or to their parents. That is, sexual reproduction introduces variations in one generation to the other. Okay, sexual reproduction introduces variation. All sexually reproducing organisms share a similar pattern of reproduction. Clear, everyone? So in case of human beings, you have a male gamete. Okay, you have a male gamete also. Oh my god. Okay, it is actually a fluid is filling over here. You know, you will study detail in the chapter human reproduction about the acrosperm and all. So just for a simple diagram, I'm just drawing. Yes. And you have a female gamete also. So this is actually the acrosome and this is actually the nucleus. Okay, so the fusion of male nucleus with the female nucleus, female gamete nucleus is known as, the process is known as fertilization, and that leads to the formation of zygote, and that process you will call it as syngamy. Clear, everyone? So different phases in the sexual reproduction. First one is the juvenile phase. I hope you know all these things. There is no need of a further great explanation. The period of growth and maturity of an organism before it can reproduce sexually. I'll tell you, in case of plants, the period up to which flowering does not take place, that is the period till flowering takes place in the plant, is known as the juvenile phase, or in case of plants you will call them as the vegetative phase. There is no kind of reproductive activities are taking place over there. Clear? So in case of animals, that is at the time of your birth, till your puberty, that is till you a human attains sexual maturity, that period you will call it as juvenile phase in case of animals and vegetative phase in case of plants. Reproductive phase is the period in which the organism is capable of producing sexually. So, for example, the bamboo species generally flowers every 50 to 100 years, producing a large number of fruits and then die. Have any one of you seen the flowering of a bamboo species? Because it will flower only 50 to 100, once in every 50 to 100 years only. Okay, if you have planted a bamboo in your year 1, by your 50th year, when you're observing your birthday, what happens? You will have the bamboo in your home flowered. And when you turn into 100 after 50 more years, again you can see that the bamboo species reproduce. So generally it reproduces only once, because after that it won't reproduce, but in rare cases you would observe that they reproduces in every 50 years. Next is Strobilandus kundianum, which is called Neela Kuruni, which flowers only once in 12 years in the borders of Kerala, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. And this is actually flowering in a particular condition. This is flowering only in one particular condition. But few months back, that is I hope in October or November, I hope, again this flower, okay, the Neela Kurani have been bloomed on the Nilgiri valleys and all. Okay, actually it was not the season or not the year. For example, 1 second, I'll tell you right now. So actually, in your NCRT it has been mentioned 2006 or something, but actually this has flowered in 2018, but again then after 2018 it should flower only after 12 years. That is, you have the opportunity to view it only in 2030, but 2020 also this has actually flowered. Yes, yes. In Tamil Nadu areas, it's very common. It's very common. A violet color, very beautiful to see. If it is seen single, we won't be having such kind of an attraction. But when you see it as a group in that valley itself, you will have a lot of interest towards that because it's very beautiful to see that. Estrous cycle are the cyclical changes takes place during the reproduction in non-primate mammals, for example in cow, sheep, rats, deers and dog. So guys, their cycles, reproductive cycle can be of two types, that is estrous cycle, and in case of humans and all you will have the menstrual cycle. What do you mean by estrous cycle? Estrous cycle is actually shown by non-primate. What do you mean by non-primate? Very simple to identify. Just take out your fingers, just have your thumb and just touch it with all the fingers. Just touch it with all the fingers, just as how you hold a pen. You hold a material. You will touch two fingers together, right? So your thumb, you are having an opposable thumb. Exactly, the human beings also have. All the human beings have an opposable thumb, right? Generally, all the human beings and primates, so that kind of organism you will call them as primates. So all primates have a opposable thumb. So those organisms which have an opposable thumb would undergo menstrual cycle, and those organisms which does not have an opposable thumb. Have you seen a cow opposing a thumb with all other finger? No, they will all be straight. They cannot just touch one finger with the other. In case of sheep, rat, dog, deer, all these things you will never have seen the that the organism are touching their one finger or a thumb with the other rest of the fingers. But in case of human beings, monkeys, apes, etc., chimpanzees, all these things, you will find the opposable thumb. So this particular cycle, estrous cycle, is observed in non-primate mammals like cow, sheep, rats, deer, dog, etc. Next, Next is the menstrual cycle. So I have already told you, and we'll study about this cycle in detail in the chapter Human Reproduction. Clear. So we all know what is menstrual cycle. It is a cyclical changes which is occurring during reproduction in primates, for example, monkeys, apes, human beings, etc. And breeders can also be of two types. Breeders can be also of two types. Some of the organisms are seasonal while some are continuous. Check into the case of dog and all. For example, dog, wild animals and all, they are all seasonal breeders. Only during one particular season they will undergo breeding. Okay, they can be able to breed only under one particular season. So in that season only their reproductive cycle will take place and will become active. For example, in certain films and all, you might have seen that don't go through that path during this particular time because it's the time at which the snake will undergo its mating, right? So all these are examples. Snakes, dog, all wild animals are examples of seasonal breeders. But in case of human beings, they can undergo reproduction in any season. So they are continuous breeders. After a particular age, that is after puberty, the reproductive cycle remain active, so that at any time of your life you can have breeding or mating. Clear? The last phase is the senescent phase. So seasonal breeders is there, continuous breeders is there. The last one, the last phase of the life is the senescent phase. Senescent phase means old age or the end of reproductive phase. In case of humans, females, that is after menopause. Okay, the life after menopause is called the senescent phase. So after that particular age, they are not capable of any kinds of reproduction activities. So it is the end of reproductive phase. Old age ultimately leads to death of the organism. Next, we have to have a brief account of the events in sexual reproduction. I will give you a brief idea about it right now, because in chapter number 2, sexual reproduction, I have done a detailed one-shot lecture for 1.5 hours and have done 2 or 3 lectures on the chapter entirely. Is available there on the page, so you can have your check over there. So it's better you hear the one shot itself. So I have done very detailed lecture over there, 1.5 hour, I think. So there we have divided the chapter into pre-fertilization, fertilization, and post-fertilization, and we have discussed each one of them in detail. In human reproduction also, we'll study about gamete formation, gametogenesis, gamete transfer, fertilization, implantation, embryo formation, all these things. So here I'm going to make you identify, familiarize with what are these terms. Actually, I could not have a deep time over here because you have studied all these things in different one or the other part of the studies. Pre-fertilization. What do you mean by pre? Pre means before. So all the events happening before fertilization comes under pre-fertilization events. And second one is a fertilization event, and the last one is a post-fertilization event, that is after fertilization, development of embryo, formation of zygote, all these things. Post-fertilization event. So pre-fertilization event refers to the process of formation of two types of gamete, male and the female gamete. That process of formation of gamete, you will call it as gametogenesis. Very important point. Gametes are usually haploid. MCQ question. Okay, gametes are usually haploid. MCQ question. The gametes may be isogametes or homogametes, that they may be of the similar kinds. In case of plant kingdom, you might have studied about chlamydomonas and all, chlamydomonas, cladophora and all. Same isoflagellate or homoflagellate. Hetero means one will be large and other will be small. In case of certain other organism, for example, certain algae, it will be like this. In case of human being itself, sperm is very small, but ovum is very large. So, homogametes are observed in cladophora, which is an alga, and heterogametes are different type of gamete observed in fucus and alga and human beings also. Monoecious and dioecious. Monoecious, dioecious. Monoecious are also called bisexual or hermaphrodites or homothallic. In homothallic is in case of homothallic, and heterothallic in case of fungi, you will call them. So monoecious, homothallic, bisexual, hermaphrodite. 4 terms you have to study by heart, because you have a quiz after this which you have to understand and say me the answer. So it contains all these questions. Monoecious, homothallic, bisexual, or hermaphrodite. For example, cucurbits, coconuts, khara, sweet potato, earthworm are all examples of monoecious plants. Monoecious plants, and earthworm is a monoecious animal. Exactly, dioecious or heterothallic or unisexual, for example, papaya, date palm, merchantia, cockroach, all these are examples of dioecious organisms. Is it clear? Next process is a gamete transfer. So in case of plants, you will have the process of gamete transfer known as pollination. Just imagine the condition. Just imagine it, everyone. Just imagine the condition, guys. In case of plants, what you will have? You will have to, 1 second. Yes, in case of plants, the male gametes are taken away and it is dropped in the female reproductive tract, right? So it is an example of what? Pollination. Clear? So In most of the organism, the male gametes are motile and female gametes are stationary. In alga, bryophytes and pteridophytes, water is the medium for gamete transfer. Pollination is actually the method of gamete transfer in higher organisms because pollen grains are actually the male gametes. Is it clear? Is it clear, everyone? Yes. Let's move on. Let's move on with the next part, fertilization and syngamy. Syngamy or fertilization. Syngamy results in the formation of a diploid zygote. In certain animals, the female gamete develops into an adult organism without fertilization. Such a process of formation of organism without fertilization, you will call them as parthenogenesis. For example, rotifers, lizard, turtles, etc. Fertilization may be external or internal. You have studied it clearly. External, internal fertilization in which all organisms in the chapter Animal Kingdom in class 11, chapter number 4. What is external? What is internal fertilization? In external fertilization, syngamy occurs outside the body. Large number of gametes are released in the surrounding. For example, bony fishes, amphibians, and all shows what? External fertilization. While in internal fertilization, syngamy occurs inside the body of an organism, but the number of ova produced are less, but the number of male gametes produced will be large enough so as to enhance the chances of fertilization. Okay, for example, birds, mammals, and all, you will have internal fertilization. The last topic over here, it is the post-fertilization event, that is all those events happening after fertilization. Events is the formation of zygote. What is actually zygote? Zygote is a vital link that ensures the continuity of species between one generation and the next. Previous year, AIPMT 2002 question. Okay, a statement question. Zygote is a vital link that ensures the continuity of species. It's true. Development of zygote depends upon the type of life cycle of the organism, the environment to which it is exposed to, and zygote further develops into an embryo. And what is embryogenesis? It's a process of formation of an embryo, that is cell division to increase the number of cells, and cell differentiation for the formation of different kinds of tissue. These points are very important. What is the advantage of cell division? Increase the number of cells. Cell differentiation, formation of different kinds of cells or tissues. The last one is the oviparous and the viviparous organism. You all are familiar with this. Oviparous animals means those that lay egg, and viviparous animal means that give birth to their young ones. In oviparous, the fertilized eggs have a calcareous shell to protect them from the harsh environment, while in viviparous, the embryo is protected inside the mother's body. In flowering plants, the zygote formed inside the ovule, the zygote develops into an embryo sac, which after the ovule becomes seed and ovary becomes the fruit. This particular fruit wall will turn into pericarp, that is protective in function. So that's all the end of this chapter. Very simple chapter. All the concepts are very crystal clear for each one of you. Is it? Is it? Just wait for a minute. I'll be back right now. Let me drink some water. Yes. So let's move on with some question. Calvin, where were you till this time? I have called out your names in between so many times, but no kinds of comments. Tell me the answer fast on the chat box. Tell me the answer. I'll give you 10 seconds to answer the question because we don't have too much of time to spend. All these are easy questions. Which of the following plant describes a unisexual condition? China rose and date palm and papaya, coconut and cucurbits, maize and China rose. Question number one. Question number one, 10 seconds to answer the question. So the correct answer for the question is date palm and papaya. Date palm and papaya are unisexual plants. Next question on your screens. Find out the correct statement. Find out the correct statement. Lifespan of organisms are not necessarily correlated with their size. The sizes, crows and parrots are not very different, so their lifespans are almost similar. A peepal tree has much shorter lifespan as compared to a mango tree. Reproduction is essential for the continuity of species on the earth. Find out the correct statement. 10 seconds. So the correct answer for the question is option number D. Reproduction is essential for the continuity of species on the earth. First statement that I told you when we entered this chapter. First statement we studied when we entered this chapter. Number D. Question number 3 on your screens I have already explained. Select the correct sequence from the following. Select the correct sequence from the following. Gametogenesis, syngamy, zygote formation, embryogenesis. Gametogenesis, syngamy, embryogenesis, zygote formation, embryogenesis, gametogenesis, syngamy, gametogenesis, zygote formation, embryogenesis. Ten seconds to answer this question also, everyone. So the correct answer for question number 3 is option number A. That is gametogenesis, formation of gametes, syngamy, fertilization, zygote formation, zygote converting to embryo. So that is the answer for the question. Question number 4 on your screens, everyone. Match the items given in column 1 with those in column 2 and select the correct answer. And select the correct answer. Asexually reproducing offspring. Asexually reproducing offspring. Reproductive structures adapted for dispersal. Swarm spores. Plant material used for vegetative propagation. Asexually reproducing spores. Reproductive structures adapted for dispersal. Swarm spores. Plant material that is used for vegetative propagation. So the correct answer for the question is option number D. Very easy one, very easy one. Okay, you can just match it like the plant material which is used in vegetative propagation, propagule, vegetative propagule, we already discussed in the class. Swarm spores, it is zoospores in case of chlamydomonas, I already explained in the class. Reproductive structures adapted for dispersal, it is spores, B. And asexually reproducing offspring, I already told you the very first statement, that is clones. So all these are the answers for the question. So correct answer is option number D. Next question. Yes, very easy one. The plant was introduced in India. So a particular plant named X. Just suppose the plant to be X. Okay, just suppose the plant is given over here as X. So a plant X was introduced in India because of its beautiful flowers and shape of leaves. So that is, it is introduced in India for its ornamental value. It can propagate vegetatively at a phenomenal rate and spread all over water body in a short period of time. It is very difficult to get rid of these plants. Statement A, B, C are related to which one of the four options given below? Very easy one. Absolutely, Nila. It's water hyacinth. Okay, by offset formation, it can propagate vegetatively at a phenomenal rate by what? Offset formation. Offset formation. Next question on your screens. The number of chromosome in the shoot tip cell of a maize plant is 20. The number of chromosome in the microspore mother cell of the same plant is. So they have asked you the question like the number of chromosome in the shoot tip cell. So what is the ploidy of the shoot tip cell? It is diploid in nature, that is 2n condition. So 2n is equal to 20 is given. Okay, there are 2n diploid condition is 2n. So they have asked you what is the number of chromosome in the microspore mother cell. Can you all hear me now? Can you all hear me now? Yes, can you all hear me now? Can you all hear me now? Can you all hear me now? Yes. So actually we were discussing with this slide, right? So actually we were discussing with this slide, right? Anyway, it's the last question. So I have already explained in the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants that the microsperm mother cell is always diploid. Okay, the microsperm mother cell is always diploid. Okay, so the microsperm mother cell is always diploid. So shoot tip cell is diploid. So it is given as 20. So microsperm mother cell is again 20. So that's all about today's class. That's all. So bye bye. See you in the next class with some other session and some other chapter. Bye bye.